Robert Dubois. He's in prison for putting Superman in the ICU with a kryptonite bullet.
I'm not joining your suicide squad.
We'll see.
My court date is coming up. And Miss Wallerton, maybe you can help me out.
You're flexing in my door!
Everyone stand down.
Miss Waller, I don't...
Stand down!
I wouldn't take such extreme measures if this mission went more important than you could possibly imagine. Are you in or out? Good. Let's meet your team.
It's okay, I'm not okay.
Each member is chosen for his or her own completely unique set of abilities.
I need to feel the raindrops on my head, on my head.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Had to go number 2.
Good to know.
Is this thing a dog?
A dog? What kind of dog do you think it is, mate?
I'm gonna go with Afghan hound.
Oh my god, is it a werewolf?
Yo, they tell me this to a werewolf? Yo, let me out!
Hey, he's not a werewolf, okay? He's a weasel. He's harmless. I mean, he's not harmless. He's killed 27 children, but, you know.
Your mission is to destroy every trace of something known only as Project Starfish. Any questions?
Starfish is a slang term for a butthole. Think there's any connection?
No.
No. All right. Let's get it. This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
I'm a superhero!
That's my dad.
I want to get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
Ratatouille, what do you got?
Bird.
Now it. Stay off the comm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of Palace Off the Top Rope. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. And on deck for today's episode, I got a returning Tyler Bishop back to talk all things the Suicide Squad, which is I don't know, is it a sequel, a reboot, a reimagining? Is it its own thing of 2016's Suicide Squad, which came from director David Ayer? We got a returning Margot Robbie, a couple of other characters, and a lot of new people introduced in this version. And I'm going to be talking about all that stuff with Tyler, along with many other topics in the DC world and just film in general. We got a lot to discuss. The last time he was on here was for the Snyder Cut, so it's been a hot minute, so it's going to be fun to catch up with him. My conversation coming up in just a few moments. But wanted to get started with this. More bad news on the WWE front as far as like releases are concerned. So about 13 to 14 wrestlers got fired this weekend from WWE. This was coming during the airing of Friday Night SmackDown. So that's when this news came about. I follow a lot of close like wrestling sites that are always breaking all this news. So I found out this news just as they were breaking it. A lot of it was NXT talent, and a lot of news has been circulating in the last couple of days as far as like the direction that NXT is going to be taking. And I think it's basically going to go back to what it was originally. And what NXT was more of a developmental system where you would focus more on your craft and, getting ready to get to the big stage of WWE. Now, what NXT ended up becoming was actually sort of like a pseudo third brand where you have major storylines going on and great matches and great work being put on by wrestlers that were around, like, your Finn Balor's, your Kevin Owens, all of the four horsewomen, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, they all really made their mark in WWE first with NXT, so it kind of elevated it into this like real third brand type thing. And it was really like the alternative to what was going on the main roster. Like, because as I've stated ad nauseum on this podcast, the WWE main product has been like in such a downward spiral for the longest time, and NXT was always kind of like the opposite of that. It was always the brand that was like, oh man, this is what wrestling should be. It's catering more to that hardcore fan base, and it's got mixes of like old school storytelling, but also like consistent storytelling, coherent storytelling, which is what WWE has really lacked for a very long time, since the days of like, you know, the early 2000s, the Attitude Era, all that stuff. Even like the Ruthless Aggression era had like some pretty decent stories in there. But ever since like, you know, post like 2012, mainly more after once CM Punk left WWE, it was really like a weird time, and you'd have like some good stuff here and there. But this NXT brand, it was always like the foundation. It was the backbone of why people were still invested like in the product. Like, they wouldn't watch Raw or SmackDown. They'd watch NXT to get like their wrestling fill. And ever since the emergence of AEW and how fast they're growing, and they're catering to exactly what the wrestling world wants, and frankly how the wrestling world has evolved to what it is now, like AEW is delivering that on all fronts, and WWE has really lost its way. And again, everything is all from the decisions of one Vince McMahon, who's, I think, about to turn 76 years old. Like, it's okay to say, guys, like, he's lost touch. He's set in his ways, and he's giving us a product that's just so stale and so out of date that it's just no longer what it used to be. And he's going back to this mindset of getting guys that are just, you know, super big, and nobody like a veteran age, like post 30, like in your 30s, you're considered old by WWE standards, but that's like really dumb. So they're going to go back to that in terms of like what they're looking for in their talent. So a lot of guys that were released on this list were like smaller guys, people that were over 30, people that were not at tall, you know, or deemed to be quote unquote big enough. So they're very lost right now, and again, it's a sad thing to see, because I want all of wrestling to flourish and all that, but Vince McMahon and that mindset that he has over there at WWE is just so outdated. It's so like he doesn't have it anymore, and it's okay to say that. So they're going to rebrand NXT, and I don't know how soon they're going to do it. You know, they were cutting people that were still on television or had just been on television. So again, Vince McMahon, I think, never really paid attention to what NXT was and what it was doing. And, you know, Triple H was doing a really good job with it, but a lot of it was also on the backs of people that came in through there that weren't developed through the WWE system, like a Kevin Owens, like a Finn Balor. Those people got their names started on the indie circuit. People like Sami Zayn. So Triple H was kind of riding off of that. So he had a lot of that goodwill from those people coming in and elevating that NXT brand to like this almost like main level type of brand, like a Raw or SmackDown. So they're going to go back. They're going to go backwards, I think, in my opinion. So the way we knew NXT as it was, you know, with the huge takeovers, and, you know, they were filling up arenas back when they were touring and whatnot, and they were actually getting better responses, you know, than the main WWE shows. But now that AEW exists and everybody's like kind of leaning more towards going that way in terms of getting your pro wrestling fix, NXT's kind of just become just there. You know, I've been keeping up with it, and it's not the same show that it used to be. Like, they're trying, but also like it's been stifled a lot, and a lot of that is been because at the hands of Vince McMahon and just him not understanding what that product was or was trying to do. And again, they're going to rebrand that show to be more like of what the original concept was, which was like more developmental. So yeah, the way we know NXT as it was, it's done, and it's sad to see, because, you know, a lot of the current talent there right now, like, are not what Vince McMahon is looking for, like an Adam Cole whose contract's about to expire, but yet they're trying so desperately to re-sign him. But I think this is more so that AEW doesn't get their hands on him. So it's becoming a lot of that. It's good for the wrestling landscape for the wrestlers because now they have a choice, but WWE, man, if I'm a wrestler there, like, I don't know why that shouldn't even be the standard now as far as, like, wanting to reach that level, because we've seen what they do with talent there. And especially if Vince doesn't see anything in you, like, he'll give up on you right away. Like, he may give you a chance, but, you know, it won't be long before he tries to, like, hinder it. You know, and Daniel Bryan's, like, one of the biggest examples of that, like, where he overcame the system because he was just so over with fans and whatnot, so they had no choice but to kind of steer course in his direction. And, you know, they gave him the championship, and he had a main event at WrestleMania, but they were never really going to fully get behind a guy like that, you know, a guy who's not big in stature, like a Hulk Hogan or something like that. But it's just such a out of touch thing to look at wrestling that way, because wrestling evolves, and, you know, we've seen, like, size doesn't matter anymore, and your work rate does matter in today's age, as well as having, like, a really developed character. But, yeah, no, just sad news of all these wrestlers getting released, and apparently it's going to be a regular thing now, which, I mean, that sucks too. So if I'm in WWE right now, like, I can only imagine the morale in the locker room right now, and, like, any day anybody could get cut. Obviously not, like, you know, like a Roman Reigns or anything like that. Those guys are safe, but, you know, who's to say, like, you know, they don't cut Johnny Gargano this week or something like that, you know? He just doesn't fit that mold that Vince McMahon is looking for, even though, I mean, I personally am not a huge fan of Johnny Gargano, but he's a pretty popular character among fans, and they like his wrestling and all that stuff. So, but, you know, again, he doesn't fit that mold, and who's to say that he doesn't get cut tomorrow because Vince feels like it and doesn't want him around? I don't know. Just it's a weird time to be in WWE right now, and I feel like it's not getting any better. And right now they got, you know, they barely got fans back into attendance, into the arenas, and John Cena's returned, and that's helped boost ticket sales. But John Cena's, like, past his prime and already got his foot in Hollywood already. He's going to be in high demand, so it's not like he's going to be sticking around for the long term. And, you know, we're going to see what happens with WWE once John Cena is, like, back, like, not on screen for, like, a majority of the time, and then we'll see what's what. But not a fun time right now with all these releases, and then we're waiting to see what happens with Adam Cole, because if he doesn't re-sign and steers towards AEW, that's just even more momentum for them as they continue to march towards that August 20th show with Rampage, where we're more than likely going to see the debut of CM Punk. The only reason I'm saying more than likely is because they haven't confirmed it, but all signs are pointing to it. There's no backing down from it. It's like it's all but a done deal, right? It's all but advertised and all that stuff. But, you know, they've sold out Chicago. They've sold out the United Center. It's happening. The momentum's building. Their ratings are awesome. Like, for, like, the last month, they've averaged more than 1 million fans on TV, and that's incredible for a company that's still, like, in the infancy stages. And now that, you know, CM Punk's on the wings, Brian Danielson is on the wings, and if you get Adam Cole, like, here we go. Like, there's going to be a real ratings war again, because WWE has really fallen off. Like, they're down to, like, the 1 point, like, Raw's averaging like a 1.8 weekly I'm seeing. And this is without football starting. So can you only imagine when Monday Night Football gets going and the NFL gets into the regular season? Like, their numbers are going to dip to the point where AEW could possibly catch them. If not pass them, they're going to catch them at some point. And if things pan out the way they're going, the way we're all hoping they will, with CM Punk and all that, it's going to become real interesting. And here we're hearing, you know, McMahon going back to his old ways of, you know, only big guys and younger guys, but even though you need your veterans, like people that are above 30, even though 30's not old, and that doesn't make me feel good about myself, right? I'm 34. So I'm like, shit, does that mean I'm old? But we're going to see what happens. But wanted to update you all on that. Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, you'll listen to my conversation with Tyler Bishop, where we're going to talk everything about the Suicide Squad, including its disappointing box office number from this past weekend, which I didn't talk about it here to open up the show because I talk about it at length with Tyler coming up. So stick around for that. This is Palace Off the Top Rope. We'll be right back.
Medium coffee?
Who put a flavor grenade in my mouth? Pull the pin.
In a summer of sequels, prequels, and remakes.
He's turning heads by being the good guy.
I love you, loser guy!
One movie.
He's ruining the game. Jump in, dude, now.
Dares to be original. Catchphrase.
Catchphrase?
Well, I mean, don't think one up yet. Well, the catchphrase is a pretty cool catchphrase.
Free Guy.
He's just like you, but way better.
Rated PG-13. Only in theaters.
All right, welcome back to the show. And in the hizzle today, I've got Tyler Bishop returning. It's been a couple of months, man, since I last talked to you.
Since the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, what was that, back in March?
March.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Feels like it was not too long ago, but it actually has been.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. How have you been, man?
Good. Doing good. Just trucking along. Got a new job, working well at that one. And then just trying to stay up to date on all these movies and everything coming out, man.
How's your summer been?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's been pretty cool. So I've been out trying to stay outside as much as possible and not spend too much time inside.
You've been one of my favorite hosts because we're pretty good at pre-planning all this stuff.
Yeah.
We did the fandom stuff with DC, which we're already close to October again.
Yeah,
it's going to be coming soon.
right around the corner, man.
So there'll be a sequel to that, folks. We did the Snyder Cut, which we had talked about back then when we did the Fandoms podcast. And when we did the Snyder Cut, we said, I'll have you back on for Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, don't forget the.
Can't forget it. It's a crucial thing. But it's here. It's released onto the world. It's on HBO Max. It's in theaters now. I'm pretty sure there's seats available, considering the box office that it did this weekend. We'll get to all that stuff. But yeah, man, it's here now. What are your thoughts on it? That's what we're going to talk about first. We're going to get into the whole everything that we liked and didn't like about this movie. And I always like conversing with Tyler because he's a diehard fan with DC stuff, but he's also tells it like it is. So he's not like a Mark or everything's like pro like DC or pro Marvel. Like no, like he's got like some good opinions. So I was waiting to have this conversation with him. We haven't talked to each other really about the movie or anything like that, so you're going to get our fresh...
much as I wanted to text you, but I didn't do it.
We're going to get our fresh thoughts with each other on this movie, so I'll be just as surprised as he will on how I feel about certain things and whatnot. But yeah, let's get it started, man. Cool. Overall, yes or no, thumbs up for this movie?
Oh, man, I would say out of a 10, I gave it like a 6.9.
Okay.
Right at maybe 7 on a good day. I don't know. I still have to watch it again. It might go up, but I don't see it going up any higher than like the 7 for me. I want, just in case James Gunn ever listens to this podcast, I want him to at least know that,
him.
Yeah, I think he did a great job with the characters that he brought into this movie, and I don't think anybody could have made this work with this team and with the villain. I don't think anybody could have done that the way James Gunn did it. So
right.
I just want to say that it was great. He was definitely the person to tackle the obscure, but I think that he didn't do it. No, I mean, we backtrack that. I don't think that he used the people that he used the right way.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of talent in this movie and a lot of underutilized people, a lot of people that were gone too quick. Right. So to speak, you mentioned the tagline earlier before we went on, but don't get attached. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I fully expect people to die, but God, that was just, it really took me out of the movie in the very beginning when that first 5 minutes went down.
Real quickly, folks, there will be spoilers in this entire podcast. The movie's out now. If you want to see it, hit pause on this podcast, go watch the movie, come back and listen to it. Or if not, go ahead and keep listening anyway.
And then go see the movie. Make your own opinions.
Right. Don't even listen to us. Always make your own opinions on stuff, whether you like it or not. Even going into this movie got really strong reviews. I used to not be swayed by that, but I'd be like, pumping my chest a little bit. But now I'm like, okay, I'll still, like, that's good that it's getting good reviews and all that stuff. but I'll always reserve for what I think of the movie and never get swayed by critics or Rotten Tomatoes. Are you the same way?
Yeah. Oh no, definitely like that. I like movies that are positive reviews to kind of like put asses in seats in the theaters.
Right.
Definitely it's always good to have these movies coming with, the momentum that, like, especially with one like the Suicide Squad had. That way you get the people into the theaters to see this. You get the you get the cash flow, you get the population of the world back into the theaters. So that's what I feel that we need right now. So definitely having a positively reviewed movie like The Suicide Squad was great, but I don't really agree with all those reviews, and unfortunately, like, the box office numbers are either people just decided to stay home and watch it on HBO Max. Have those numbers been released yet? Or
no, but from what I read earlier on like Twitter and some of the people that follow all the HBO Max executives and whatnot, I think they were pleased because it's the second most viewed.
Oh,
I don't know what the first highest viewed movie on that platform is, but it's definitely the next highest one. So
I thought it was Kong, wasn't it? Was it Godzilla?
It's got. Kong? I mean, it's got to be that one for sure.
I know they just didn't say it was a Snyder cut, even though I'm pretty sure it's the Snyder cut.
That's a topic for a whole other conversation.
The conspiracy theories podcast.
But let's go back to the movie. So, all right. So you got it like a 6 out of 10. I rate my movies 1 to 4. I do the Roger Ebert scale.
Sure,
it's a 3.
Okay.
Like, and most movies that I see in my life are a 3. Like, where it's like I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Sure. But did it like wow me? There were certain performances that wowed me.
Yeah.
But overall, as a movie, when I was done with it, I was like, okay, like that was fun. Like, I wasn't like angry about it or like. Again, you know more of the comic lore and stuff, so if there's some things that they maybe didn't portray right or could have done better, I didn't catch any of that stuff. I was more just like, I was more excited, to see Cena as a peacemaker.
Right.
Could Stallone make this work like a la Vin Diesel as a Groot? Which I'm gonna do a hot take: Stallone's King Shark over Groot, over Groot, like 1,000%.
Absolutely.
They got you to care about him within minutes or seconds of seeing him. I thought he did a really good job. Not only because I'm a Stallone mark, but I just thought the character was genuinely super funny and also emotional. Even though there's not a lot of like facial or stuff like added to him. They really added a lot of depth to him.
Yeah, they definitely showed that a shark could convey emotions in certain situations. So,
and
I set the mood.
I posted this out already on HBO Max. Like, it's such an easy sell. Like, give me a King Shark show.
Yeah,
even if it's 4 or 5 episodes, whatever. I want to see how he ended up there in prison, whatever adventures he was on before. And Stallone, I think he had a really good time doing this. I think if this was like. If they had done this like during the 90s or whatever, I don't know if he'd be up to it. I think he'd be too macho.
Right.
Like, this is like out of my element.
Yeah, he's still riding the high of like Rambo and everything.
Yeah,
like
he's like, no, total alpha.
Yes.
But now that he's like in this latter part of his career where, I mean, not necessarily like he's going like far beyond what he's done, but he's trying some things and being wacky. I mean, he popped up in Guardians, which was weird.
But you look at like Jean-Claude Van Damme's the same way. Mm-hmm. I mean that I forget. I think it's just called like The Mercenary or whatever. His Netflix movie.
Yeah.
It's very tongue in cheek. Like it's not. It's definitely a departure from Bloodsport or Lionheart or anything he did in like in the 80s, and even I guess Universal Soldier. I don't know. I think that was still 80s probably. I think, but still, yeah. I mean, I think all these macho actors are definitely having like a resurgence in their career by stepping away from something that they've been so comfortable doing, for a good chunk of their life.
And I think Stallone in general is funny. Like if you watch him outside of, he's on Instagram a lot, and he does videos where he's a funny guy, and like it was nice to see him like venture into this where most of the time he's just chanting "nom nom" in the movie, but he makes it like funny, like. But let's get into all that stuff. It's easy to talk about all the positives, so let's talk about the things that you did like about this movie.
John Cena. I love John Cena's Peacemaker. I think we've talked about this before, and on social media and texting. This is the year of John Cena.
Yeah,
he's made a resurgence in the WWE to just like overwhelming positivity has kind of come in and kicked down the door. You've got him in this movie. There's a movie it's a Hulu movie with him.
Vacation Friends.
Yeah, Vacation Friends, and I think is just gonna. I mean, people that didn't know who John Cena was definitely will know who he is after this. I mean, this is, and then of course he's got the Peacemaker show that is supposedly going to debut in like January of next year.
Let's go. I want it now. Let's stay on Peacemaker for a bit. First off, what brilliant marketing, right?
Yeah.
With him popping up in the costume
But
all
I feel
over
like
the
that's
place.
Also John Cena.
Right.
Yeah.
I talked about this on one of my episodes where it's like John Cena has the personality to get away with this, which is why I already think he's a little bit more. He can go a lot of different ways as opposed to like Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
I think Dwayne Johnson still got a little bit of that alpha where like I don't think he could pull off doing something like this, like showing up in costume, whatever, on media appearances.
If you have Dwayne doing that, it's so funny to call him Dwayne.
Right.
But if you have Dwayne doing that, it comes from, like you said, an alpha energy where it's like, I'm The Rock, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to wear my costume kind of thing. Where you have like John Cena's where it's a very like, it's almost like a kid kind of thing where, he's got his first badass Halloween costume and he wants to wear it everywhere. So wear it to the supermarkets. Like that's what I think John Cena is. Cause you have three of, while you're talking about this, I thought of Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool where he's got the costume and he wears it all the time. I feel like that's just more from like the slapstick kind of thing where it's like you expect that out of Ryan Reynolds. John Cena is just, you just see the natural enjoyment he gets of playing a character in this movie. So that's what I think, that's where his stealing the costume comes from. And then of course you have the opposite end of the spectrum with The Rock where he just kicks down doors and says, I'm Black Adam. So,
but also what brilliant like marketing in terms of like, before John Cena got cast in this role, like I've never heard of Peacemaker. I don't know who he is. Unless you're like a diehard fan.
Yeah.
But now you see him popping up in this costume. There's more awareness of him into the consciousness of pop culture.
Right.
So he's been everywhere in the marketing for this. I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel when he came out with Margot and James Gunn. I thought it was some of the funniest shit I've seen on a talk show in a long time. And then it just gets you more pumped for like, oh wow, like, and then there's going to be a show that they've already filmed. Like, it's just brilliant marketing, and he did as best as he could in the movie with what he was given. Like, he nailed it, I think, 1,000% in everything. And he had one of the best action scenes in that fight with Rick Flag. Like, holy shit, that thing was like violent, but also like violent to the point where like it didn't look fake. Like it looked like, oh man, these guys are stabbing and slicing each other like for real.
That was one good thing I did enjoy about James Gunn, this movie, and James Gunn is just like some of the like the scenes, the way they were filmed was just so like refreshing.
Right.
Like that the scene you're talking about there, it started off as a reflection in like Peacemaker's helmet.
Yeah.
And
that was so cool.
So it's stuff like that it's I mean these all these Marvel movies are superhero movies that just been beat to death with like one that's why one of my favorite scenes is the one shot in Aquaman where like she's running through the building and he's somewhere else and it kind of just like the camera just like it's like a drone. Right. I like these refreshing shots in these movies because, superhero movies are a dime a dozen, but if you can bring something like that to the table, then, you got it. You got my attention.
Yeah, little things like that. I know James Gunn was talking a lot before this movie came out about, he actually thinks that superhero movies have become, like, a little boring, and so I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, let's see what you got in this movie. And there's some stuff in it where it's like, okay, cool, like, it was refreshing and something different, like, in any other movie, it's like, holy shit, why did they do this? But that's the whole point of these characters is they're miscast and idiots. And
exactly.
Like when they plow through that village and you think like, they're getting all these people. But it turns out they were the fucking good guys and they just mowed them down. And there's a shot in there where Cena just stabs the shit out of someone. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Then you find out who it is and you're like, oh, and even they react like, oh, well, we didn't do anything.
That's good. I mean, that's what... They really didn't, and I don't know, again, for the Conspiracy Podcast, we could talk about how much WB ruined the first one, but in the first one, it really didn't hammer home that these guys are villains.
Right.
They're not the good guys. They're bad guys forced to work together for the greater good. And in this movie, they were bad guys. Like you said, they just slaughtered an entire, camp of soldiers thinking they were doing good, and it turns out that they were basically just murdering people and kind of thing, so... Definitely showed more of the villain side of these characters in this movie.
Yeah, because even when the Cena, I guess, quote unquote, heel turn when it happens, it's like no, like he's a piece of crap. Like it's exactly it's just right on par with what it should be.
Yeah,
so.
he's got his not his morals. What's the convictions? There you go. He's got his convictions, and that's what makes him a villain. And he's stuck to those convictions. So.
Right. He was hired to do a job.
Exactly.
And he's following what he's told.
Yep.
But man, yeah, was that the biggest standout for you? Because I went into it like really hoping that John Cena was going to deliver, which I think he did. The one that overshot my expectation was Stallone as King Shark.
Yeah. So for me, knowing a little bit more about, I guess, the characters and having that comic book knowledge going into it, Idris Elba kills every single role that he's in. So I knew he was going to do good as... I've been joking around calling him like Deadshot Jr. because essentially like that's what... Well, there's so many comic book characters that are the same, and I think that they really wanted Deadshot to continue on in this one, and then, of course, Will Smith wasn't available or whatever, so they had this. Right. So it was kind of just like a backup plan. He was great as it. I like how they did it, because like Bloodsport in the comics, he's got like this giant warehouse full of guns and all that stuff. So he's got these portals that transport the guns to his hands, kind of thing. Yeah. But I like the way they made it, where it's like all of his body, like his armor is a weapon. So I like that they did it. But Polka Dot Man definitely blew my mind. I was because he was one of the dumbest superhero. Him and Condiment King are like the dumbest Batman villains out there. So just giving him like depth and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like and of course the actor that plays him is a fantastic actor.
For sure.
And he's been in like 4 or 5 different comic book properties.
Right? I think he was in The Dark Knight, right?
He was in The Dark Knight as one of the Joker goons. He was in Gotham. He was in The Flash.
He was in Ant-Man also.
He's in Ant-Man.
Both Ant-Man
he's
movies.
been in both Ant-Mans.
Yeah, he's a little good character actor. He was one of the ones that I thought like going into it they were going to kill off early, like a bunch of these characters that do end up getting wiped out. Again, spoilers, folks, but sorry. Any other standouts for you that you liked?
I mean, Margot Robbie continued to kill Harley Quinn. She's just great as it. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. Again, having him a second time is fantastic. We talked about this before, but god damn it, Flula Borg against Javelin.
Yeah.
I wanted so much more.
Yeah.
Flula is one of my favorite, like, most recent, like, I had a friend show me this video, and he's like this, weird German dude that does, like, music videos, and I was like, this guy's fucking nuts. And I've started seeing him in more comedy roles, and it's just, he's grown on me, and I'm so happy that he was in this movie.
What else did I like about this movie?
Ratcatcher, what'd you think of her?
She's fine. I mean, obviously the heartbeat of the movie, the conscience, so to speak. There's always got to be that one character. Like
you see that little Taika Waititi
cameo. Yeah. I did like the rat character. That
Sebastian,
thing made me laugh.
The rat.
Idris Elba playing off that. The whole like. There's that one line where he's like trying to give you a leave, and he's like, "Why the fuck would I want to leave?" And I think I spit out my drink when I was watching it. And sorry, folks, I'm a theater guy, but I had been working a lot. And me and Tyler was actually supposed to catch this movie together, but our schedules didn't align, so I ended up watching it at home on HBO Max, so shame on me, but I'll still, I'm probably going to watch this again soon, I'll go catch it on the big screen. Yeah. But, the rat, like, that was a nice little touch there.
Well, the chemistry of these people together, I mean, these actors together is such a weird mix of everybody. I mean, where did you ever think you'd see John Cena and Idris Elba, like, sharing scenes together?
Oh, riffing, no.
Yeah.
I wanted more of it, though.
Yeah, exactly. You get, or even like Idris Elba in a movie with, the guy that plays Polka Dot Man, David Dashmalan. Like, you don't ever see these guys, like, ever be booked for roles together. So just having the rapport between them it went way beyond my expectations.
Okay. Let me go harping back to Margot a little bit. Oh, man, she's just nailed this role. Like, I think she's almost in like a Johnny Depp type way where like this is her role. Like the way Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter or Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Like I think she's made this character her own and she's done different things with it to keep it fresh.
Yep.
Like I felt her accent more strongly in this movie. I don't know if that's just me or I don't know. I felt it more in this movie for some reason.
I think she's found a groove is what it is. I think she's finally found her stride playing this character because like you said, she's kept it fresh every single time. It was very very much, a secondary character in the first Suicide Squad, and then you had her emancipation in the Birds of Prey. I mean, you like it or you hate it. It was still definitely like a coming of age movie for her, so to speak. And then now you see Harley Quinn as her own.
And then, of course, she has her one scene where she just kills everybody, and it was freaking amazing. And I think, come to find out, like, she actually did that whole scene.
Yeah, that was all her.
Where she's chained up
doing the acrobatics. Yeah,
that's insane, and just goes to show like her talent's amazing. It sucks that the box office, except for the first Suicide Squad, that the box office hasn't reflected that in terms of like her performance. So I hope like that the executives over there at Warner's like don't like think of like recasting or anything like that.
Right.
I don't think so. But
I just don't know who you would recast it as. I mean, who else are you going to find?
That's true.
That's willing to play and devote to that character.
No, I agree. Plus, I think there would be a huge like revolt if that were to happen, because I think for the most part, I think everybody likes her as that character. I rarely see any like
I haven't seen anybody any hate really.
But she was great as always. Like I didn't worry about that for this one. I'm like, she's gonna be awesome.
Well, that's what I told my wife. Like you can't kill Harley Quinn. Like you can't. And I was like, I don't know. I toyed around the idea of it being Idris Elba is one of the ones that's gonna go. But at the same time, I was like, you really can't kill Idris Elba. Like he's just one of those guys where I feel like him is safe,
especially
unless he's the villain kind of thing.
And I don't know if WB was doing this as opposed to like try to keep it similar, but you can't kill him off if you can't get Will Smith back eventually to do it or whatever. But we'll talk about that in terms of the box office and all that in just a bit. Did we get all the positives out of the way? Anything else before we kind of shine on the stuff that we didn't like?
Yeah, no, for the most part, just, to recap it real quick, again, like I said, James Gunn couldn't have, he was the only one that could have done this with all these different characters, these obscure characters, putting them together. The cinematography was great.
Needle drops were also, I mean, not as strong, but there were some good ones.
Yeah.
It opens up with Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah, opening up to that was awesome. I was so cool with that. And then, of course, the song with him when they were in the Humvee or whatever, like Rain by Grandson.
The Rain,
that's a good one. And then, of course, the one they were dancing, the K-Flay.
Right.
Can't Sleep. That was great.
Even the one at the beginning when they're killing off everybody, like that little montage of everybody dying.
Yeah.
Forgot what the song's called. I think I found it on Spotify already. That song popped to me immediately. And, of course, the Rain song, which is all over the trailers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But good needle drops. Do you want to shift to the stuff that you didn't like?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you go off because, I mean, I had minor nitpicks, but I'm sure you can give a more fuller context on the stuff that didn't work.
They're minor, but they're pretty major in my aspects. Like, my thing is, again, you go in the movie knowing everybody's not going to make it, but you cast all of these great actors or people that are starting to find themselves. Like, I hate Pete Davidson, but you like Pete Davidson. Like, you've seen him in, was it The King of Staten Island?
Well,
like,
he won me over in that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, you see there, damn, like, he's actually pretty cool. I'm going to go out and see him in Suicide Squad because I like him.
Yeah.
And then he gets his face blown off in, like, the first 10 minutes. And you're like, fuck this movie. It's like, it's just, you're getting all these characters, you're getting people, like, these actors that people are starting to like.
Yeah.
And again, I just don't think that they should have done so much so quick. Kind of spread it out throughout the movie kind of thing. But, of course, you see it in the trailers, and you only see one of the last 5 standing, so you really expect them all not to be there.
Would you have been okay if it was casted as a nobody, or is it still like you would have liked to have seen it spread out?
I still want to see it spread out. I mean, you have you always expect in the Suicide Squad the one to kind of say "fuck you guys, I'm going to leave," and then he gets his head blown off like in the first one. But I feel that these are super villain characters. They're not just like your normal thugs. I mean, they're super villains for a reason. They fight Batman, Flash, everything like that. A hail of gunfire is not going to take any of these guys out.
Yeah.
They're going to have the suits. They're going to be bulletproof. I mean, it's a comic book movie, for example. Like, there's no way that a guy that throws a javelin isn't going to be wearing a bulletproof suit.
Right.
Kind of thing. And, and Pete Davidson was, of course, he ended up being the snitch kind of thing. So I see him obviously not preparing. But all these characters I don't think would have died that quick.
Do you think that was James Gunn trying to swerve the audience, or?
I think it was. I mean, I feel like it was definitely a director and creative decision on his part. But I just think that it like I said, it took me out of the movie because again, you're thinking these are supervillains,
right?
Like some of these guys have almost bested Batman and Superman on their best days, kind of thing,
right?
Like there's no way in hell that the Corto Maltese military is going to end them like that.
Right.
And Captain Boomerang was definitely one of the ones that really pissed me off. Just because, again, not everybody's going to live. But it's like, dude, he's one of, like, the major players in the Suicide Squad comics. He's one of, like, the Flash's, like, big rogues kind of thing. So,
like, if you killed him off, it could have at least been, like, in the third act or something.
Exactly. Somewhere along the lines, him and Harley could have been captured and they could have tortured him to death or whatever before moving on to her. Something like that. To where, and even then have them a more emotional send-off between him and Harley. Where she's trying to, her whole escape scene where she's murdering everybody and finds out that he's already been killed and she's sitting there, says a last teary goodbye kind of thing before seeing Rick Flag and then hugging him like she did. So I just think that they could have spread out most of the murder before, and then I don't know if it's just James. I mean, James Gunn I was reading something where apparently Rob Zombie is James Gunn's signature. So I was trying to listen for Rob Zombie because he's like Rob Zombie was like the computer's voice in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I didn't
He's
know
been
that.
in like Slither. He's been in like pretty much like Rob Zombie. He finds a way to cast him in like every movie. So I was really kind of like, oh, where's Rob Zombie in this movie? But then I also noticed that of course every James Gunn movie has Michael Rooker and his brother.
Those are his muses or whatever.
And this is the comic book fan in me kind of, getting frustrated, but having his brother play Calendar Man was probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I did see a lot of flack on that.
Yeah, I was like, dude, stop. Like, not that we're probably ever going to see him come as, like, a villain kind of thing, but just having that in my mind is like Sean Gunn is Calendar Man talking to Ben Affleck's Batman. I'm like, yeah, this is stupid.
Yeah.
This ruins it for me.
But, I'll stick with you there on the casting. The Michael Rooker thing, that took me out of it a little bit. Especially, like, if you're going to cast him, like, have him do something. Like, and then that happens in the movie and you're like, what? Is this more to establish the Waller character, which I get, if it's just to show, like, how threatening
But she was established in the first movie because she capped her whole fucking crew.
Right, but I forget if in the first movie, does she showcase any of her power as far as, like, I'll explode this thing in your head? If you don't...
she was trying to do it with Harley, but of course they had already, like...
okay. But had she actually do it?
She did it for Slipknot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that shows how much I remember of that movie, which I need to revisit.
Don't worry, I've only ever seen it like 100 times.
But if that was the whole point of the Rooker character was to establish more the Waller character, I mean, okay, but then, like, just put whatever person in that role. Same thing with, like, a Nathan Fillion. Or, like you said, Pete Davidson, where it's like, if you're going to cast a name and you're plastering the name all over the credits and the trailers, like, at least have them do a little bit of something before they die.
Yeah. Real quick, one more that I want to say that really, and this is something that recently I found, is, I think I'm saying her name right, Alicia Braga. The one, she was like the Resistance leader.
Yes, that's her.
She's phenomenal. If you ever watch Queen of the South,
yeah.
She's amazing, and she's got like such balls and range when it comes to like acting. And she was in 3 scenes.
Yeah, I know. I was like, kind of like, wasn't she supposed to be involved in the plot of this? And then it's like you don't see her till the end,
right? And then the guy that plays the, I'm trying to look on your poster here for his name. The guy that plays the captain, the Spanish dude. The Spanish actor that was the general.
Oh, I don't know what his name is, but I know what you're talking about.
But he's like a massive, like, he's a giant, like, theater. I mean, he's a really big name in, like, the Spanish theater, and he was in Narcos and everything like that.
Yeah,
like, he's a fucking big deal when it comes to, like, like, the Spanish acting.
And he was just a guy.
And he was like a side character, man. Like, he was just,
Yeah, that was one of my things with this movie where it's like, the plot, like, it was understood what they had to do in this movie, but then when it came down to it, it was like, I don't know, it kind of didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I know this is more of a character movie, which I'm okay with sometimes, but if you're doing a movie like this scale, with this big of a budget, like, you at least want it to all mean something. Or
what was this, like, the biggest budget on an R-rated film?
Yeah, $185 million. Like, we'll talk about that in a bit, but that's not good in terms of, like, what it ended up doing box office wise, in terms of this being like a loser of money. Sorry, but yeah, the plot and stuff was very like, like, and just on the motions of how they're going through stuff. And then, like, the other thing I didn't like was, even though it was more of Margot as Robbie, which I'll always enjoy, but that little side thing where she gets into it with that guy and the guy falls in love with her, and I don't know, I found that to be like weird. Like,
it was just,
it killed the momentum a little bit.
It was unnecessary filler.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny as shit when she shot him.
Yeah, like that came out of nowhere, and I was like, cool, finally it went somewhere. Like that was the point. But I don't know, just that little portion of that movie, just like it was going and going with Peacemaker and Idris Elba, like they're getting their shit going, and then it just goes to that, and I don't know, it kind of went off the rails a little bit.
I saw a criticism online that really it made me chuckle, but I was like, dude, you're right. It was just like the unnecessary murder of birds in that movie.
Yeah,
like they like torched the whole like thing of pretty like exotic birds, and then Michael Rooker killed one with like a tennis ball in the beginning.
Like,
and
what message is
I was like, what are you doing? What is this?
Anything else?
Yeah, just the misuse of casting. I mean, one that I just see here on your poster is like Peter Capaldi as like the Thinker. I mean, dude, that's like Doctor Who right there. I mean, that dude's massive. So if you were like just cast him to get the Doctor Who fans in the seats, I mean, I guess you did your job. But like,
didn't do anything.
Get these great like these guys that have range, that have the depth, and you don't do anything with them.
Yeah, it's like towards the final act, looks like they're starting to maybe do something with him, and then like, I mean, obviously,
So that's probably my biggest thing. My biggest, I guess, gripe with the movie is just that you guys. I mean, you had a great cast. Yeah, no, not everybody's gonna survive. You didn't have to make everybody survive, but just give them more.
Yeah,
give them more than just what you gave them.
Yeah, this is a wrestling thing in me, but it's like sometimes a swerve is not needed, and it's like you can just play with these characters a little bit and not have to like, like I'm gonna take the audience, make them think we're going this way. No, it's actually going a different direction. That works sometimes, but with a movie like this and the way you're hyping it with all these characters, like, oh, cool, like, yeah, they're all a chunk of them are gonna die, but what a cop out to do it like within the first 5 minutes of the movie,
right?
But yeah, I mean, I want to go back a little bit on the positive. I don't think we touched on it more. I think we touched on it more off recording, but the little touches of James Gunn having these characters care about a little bit, especially from the previous movies, as opposed to like Boomerang and Harley Quinn. Just the little interactions of dialogue. Especially when Harley Quinn first sees Boomerang when she gets on the plane. Hey, Boomer! Like,
yeah, exactly.
And he's like, "What are you doing here?" Or whatever. Just little character interactions like that I enjoyed more as opposed to the first movie, where it's a little bit more darker, a little bit more like there's not much of that emotion there.
Right.
Or I could be reading that wrong, but I thought James Gunn did a little bit better with that, and especially like when characters did go away. When Rick Flag dies and Harley Quinn reacts to that. I thought those were nice touches, but I don't know, what were your feelings on the character?
Yeah, no, it was great. That's what I'm saying. Is that James Gunn definitely brought these guys together, and I liked that it showed the continuality of that Boomerang and Harley Quinn have worked on missions together. With Rick Flag, so there's definitely a bond that they actually care about each other. So yeah, when one bites the dust, they're like, "Fuck," So I definitely felt that he hit it on the head with that, and of course like the almost, because like you get these two like Idris Elba and John Cena's characters that hate each other in the very beginning because they're like they said, I'm the same but better kind of thing, and they're showing off, they're having like that that
it's a dick swing
the dick swing contest, but then you get almost to that point where they agree with each other, and they're that brotherhood kind of thing where they come together for the greater good, and then then John Cena does, like you said in your wrestling term, his heel turn, but. So they did a great job of making these characters like together, and actually, I mean, dude, it's so one of my favorite parts of the movie was Milton, the bus driver dude.
Oh yeah.
How he was just there, and like when he died, they're like, they killed Milton. You're like, oh shit, he was there the whole time.
It was Milton.
Yeah. So like even like the characters in the movie are like, he was still with us, and you're like, holy shit, you're right, he was still with you guys.
I think that guy's from Laredo, Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
That guy that's cool.
He got spotlighted, or my mom sent me a text like, hey, there's a guy from Laredo in the Suicide Squad, and I was like, who? And she sent the picture, and it didn't click with me then, but then when I saw it in the movie, I was like, oh, that's him. Like, that's pretty cool.
But it's so funny that like you and the characters in the movie had like a reaction where you're like, oh shit.
You're right, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did see it in the movie where he's like following them around, and I was like, well, that's odd.
Yeah.
And then, so when he dies, it's like, of course the characters are going to react like that, because they didn't know that guy was around and what he could do to contribute.
Polka Dot Man was like, he killed Milton, he was nice to me.
But see, like little stuff like that where touches where like that's why you bring in a James Gunn to doing little things like that. you want to get into like the financial and all the stuff with why it didn't work like with the audiences again this time. So this movie officially opened up to around 26 million, 27 I guess if you want to round up. That's US domestically. This thing was projected at 50, 60 million. Yeah. A lot of factors in play here. I posted an article on Facebook from Forbes.
It was a great article.
It's by Scott Mendelson. He follows all the box office stuff. A lot of people have been giving him shit, but like he follows this stuff closely, like all the time. Like he made a lot of really good points. First factor, the Delta variant thing. It's. I think it's a real thing. I felt it at work, not only this weekend, but it started last weekend really with Jungle Cruise, which I know some of it was that movie, but it was very eerie about how empty like a Friday and Saturday was.
Right.
As opposed to like weeks before we were like killing it. Space Jam, we killed it. Black Widow, we killed it. F9 was crazy. Space Jam, that's another topic. But we've been killing it with people coming. And then Jungle Cruise comes out and I scratched my head. I was like, huh. And I hadn't really been keeping up with the news and whatnot. I kind of like shied away from it, but I was like, let me see what's going on. And this thing has been like surging all over the place, and it started to hit me like, wow, this might be a thing.
Yeah, there's in my current line of work, there's these two gentlemen who work for another company that we kind of see on not like a daily basis, but we'll run into them on work, and both of them got the Delta variant.
Oh no!
And like their roommates and whatnot, so like they live together, and both of them knocked it out. So it was like it's here,
right?
It's happening, so it definitely cannot be ignored.
So coming into Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad this weekend, kind of seeing the same thing like I saw for Jungle Cruise, and I was like, okay, this has to factor in. But then I saw people were still going to see Jungle Cruise. Like there were points, at least in my theater, where like there was more people showing up for that than Suicide Squad, and I was like, okay, it's got to be other factors here. What the hell's going on? Like, is there something that I'm missing? And then this guy Scott Mendelson puts out this article on Sunday about the movie. I'm like, holy shit, how did I not pay attention to any of these factors? So the first movie grosses $134 million, huge like success financially. Whether you like the movie or not is debatable. That's always going to be, it's art is subjective. But there were a lot of people that didn't like that movie, and were turned off by it. Obviously, they liked Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but that movie like fizzled out with audiences real quickly.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to do a sequel, obviously it's going to be not as strong. And then if you don't bring back one of the biggest characters or biggest actors in that movie, which was Will Smith,
right?
Which I know he's not the draw he used to be, but if you put him in a big property, which they did mention, Aladdin was a hit.
Yeah.
Obviously he's been in big blockbusters in the past, Independence Day, all that stuff. That's going to hurt it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look at the second Independence Day without him.
Right.
And I mean, I don't think I was working at the theater at that point in my
time,
but it tanked, right? Yeah. So, it's, I see that, and I also think back to, again, this is way before my time when I worked in the theater, but you look at like the original XXX movie. I'm sure that one was better than the sequel, but of course they took Vin Diesel out of it.
Right.
So like you get these movies that like this for the Fast and Furious. I'm sure it was great, and then you take Vin Diesel out of the second one, you bring it back, and it's the gold mine that it is now.
Right.
So
right.
I just Will Smith has that same. I don't want to say him and Vin Diesel are on the same acting level, but Will Smith holds that name holds more weight.
Yeah. So you had that factor. One of the big coups of the first Suicide Squad was like, oh shit, we're gonna have an appearance by Ben Affleck's Batman at some point in this movie, or not throughout,
and Ezra Miller's Flash,
and the Joker was a part of it. So there's a lot of marketing behind those characters, which are two of the biggest properties in all of comic books. So that played into it, and the fact that you don't have any of that marketed here, or kind of this being known that it's going to be its own thing, that's going to take away a lot of the mainstream audience, because a chunk of people going into this, they don't know who Polka Dot Man is, or
exactly, none
or the
of
Peacemaker.
I mean this whole crew in this one, from apart from Harley Quinn, is just unknowns,
right?
Like Joker, Harley Quinn, maybe a little bit of Deadshot, because if you play the games, you know who Deadshot was. I'm trying to think of some of the other characters that were in that movie that people that just off the street would have known. Yeah, so I mean, and I also think too is, I don't want to say it was a different time, but I mean, 2016 you had Civil War, you had Batman v Superman, so I mean, it was a good momentum rolling into Suicide Squad.
True, I will give you that factor. That's a big part of it. It was 5 years since that last Suicide Squad movie, and we're in an age now where everybody wants the next thing right away.
Yeah.
And the fact it'll work in your favor if it's something, and I think that article mentions like, you know, Indiana Jones, but that's like an established character that, you know, you can wait years and you'll still go see the next one. I forgot what other movie where it took a while before they did the last one. Like the Bourne movies took a break for a while before he came back and did the last one. It wasn't as financially successful, but still people came out to see it. So gaps like that will work for some properties. For something like Suicide Squad, like, I don't know, like, just maybe too much time had passed.
Too much time, and it kind of didn't hit me until, I mean, obviously, I don't have kids or anything, but, like, summer's almost over, kind of, you know, one of those things where school's getting ready to go back, like, this week, next week.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of people kind of, maybe it snuck up on them, and like, oh, let's do one last thing. So, like you said, you see more people going to Jungle Cruise, which is PG versus R.
Right.
And not having any of those superheroes, I mean, you know, kids don't know any of these characters. So they're not going to want to go see this movie.
Right.
You know, it's like people like us that are our age that have, you know, grown up with the characters. Like, we know who Harley Quinn is more so than, like, you know, the kids.
Right.
They can recognize Spider-Man versus any of those characters. Like you mentioned, you had the appearance of Batman and Joker. Everybody knows who Joker is. Biggest property. So, yeah, these were essentially unknowns. And you have these families like, I don't know any of those people in that movie.
Right. I will argue that there was probably a lot of people that couldn't see it because of the rating.
Yeah.
Like my daughters
Yeah.
love Harley Quinn. I have yet to show them Birds of Prey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're getting a little bit older now where they almost might be ready for it, but maybe not quite yet. And then, of course, for this one, I don't think I'll show them this one. It's too violent. But, you know, there's that factor. Like, there are a lot of young girls that are fans of the Harley Quinn movie character.
But the R rating is stopping them from their parents from taking them in there.
Yeah. What other factors? Just making a sequel to this movie without Will Smith, no Batman appearance, no Joker. A lot of still the negative of DC still hanging around.
There's always going to be negative at DC.
You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, Shazam did well for what it was, but it wasn't like this huge thing either.
Well, I saw there's even new negative coming out for the new Aquaman one.
Really?
Jason Momoa posted in like an Instagram video where he's like, they're dyeing some of his hair blonde for the role.
Like the comic. Like
like a little more comic accurate. And they're like, DC's whitewashing, trying to whitewash characters. And it's like, dude, he had like blonde streaks in his hair last time and it was fine. So it's like, if that's what he's going back to,
no big deal.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, they're people like, you know, the guy that I was having a Twitter spat with, or it was very one-sided because I don't think he responded to my trolling, but you get these people that are like, oh, it's cool to hate on DC, and they hate on DC.
I will give them this, though. At least they're, like, trying. Like, I'll give, like, I bet you 100% James Gunn had a way better time filming this than, like, Guardians. Because Guardians, while it's still, like, it's his footprints all over it, you know, Kevin Feige's got that leash. Like, hey, you got to stay the course.
Tone it down. Because you look at James Gunn, I mean, dude, he made Scooby-Doo scary.
Yeah.
Like, Scooby-Doo, like, I mean, of course, it's, you know, kids finding ghosts and all that stuff, but, like, I rewatched it, and, like, those demons or whatever that come out, like, they're scary. James Gunn excels when he has an R-rated movie that he can either be super graphic and gory and, like, slither.
Yeah.
Or scary, like Scooby-Doo. So that's why I agree with you on that. And he definitely had a way better time filming this because he kind of just was given to, hey, make us an R-rated Suicide Squad movie. Yeah.
Do you think this changes the minds of... I mean, I don't know how Warner Brothers is reacting, or I don't even know what do they call it these days? Discovery. They're merged now.
Warner Media.
Warner Media.
Yeah, Warner Media.
It's merging with, I don't know how many companies. I think
Discovery.
I think it's going to be like Warner Discovery soon at some point. I don't know how those executives are feeling right now after this weekend.
Well, they want him to make more movies.
Right. But, I mean, are they still going to feel that way given, let's say this movie drops off completely and, like, let's say it doesn't even... I don't know. I think it'll gross $50 million at most, hopefully. But...
I think it all depends on how Peacemaker goes. Because he's already filmed...
That's all done.
Yeah,
right?
that's all
it's
done.
wrapped.
It's in editing now, so... they really can't bury him with that when it's already known that it's coming out.
Or do you think we're at a point where a lot of this stuff will just start, like, if they do another Suicide Squad, we're just going to throw it on HBO Max and not spend as much.
I could see that.
That's another thing. This movie cost $185 million to make. Like, whoa. They were comparing it to movies like, well, Deadpool grossed this and Logan grossed that, but those movies also didn't cost a lot to make. So
exactly. I mean, it was very minimalistic, and you have those characters, man. Like, that's the thing is, Logan, the name Wolverine, holds more weight than any of these actors or characters in this movie combined. Maybe Sylvester Stallone, but still, you're not putting asses in seats to watch Sylvester Stallone as a shark,
right?
in this movie. But yeah, I mean, of course they made more money.
And I was wondering, like, I mean, the whole third act, I can see that's where a chunk of the money was used.
Yeah.
But, like, $185 million still is a lot. Like, for a movie that's, like, a chunk of it is, like, it looked like an Expendables movie where I don't think it would have cost too much to film all that. But I don't know if a chunk of it was salaries and...
I think it was... I mean, Idris Elba ain't cheap.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder, like, seriously, like... I mean, I know guys like Will Smith, you are going to pay $20 million. A Ben Affleck, you'll pay that much. I wonder how much guys like Idris Elba, like, how much is his tag worth? For someone like John Cena too, like, I know it's low. It's not going to be low now because he's going to be in demand.
Yeah.
But I wonder what his price tag was. It's like, oh, I want John Cena in my movie. Like, is it in the million range? Like or is it like under? Like, is it in the six figures or is it like seven figures? Like,
I think John Cena, like The Rock, was able to start off lower because he's probably getting all the residuals from his merch sales still.
Right. Oh yeah. No, that guy's set for life.
Exactly. And then he's got all those sponsorships, like what he's like the Esurance, and
he's in so much stuff.
Yeah, he's in commercials,
but he's in so much stuff, trying different things where it's not like,
that's true.
Oh, it's The Rock again, or it's Dwayne. No, it's like, true. John Cena in a Skittles commercial or whatever it was. Like he did a Super Bowl ad, for something. I forgot what it was.
Well, I always remember the was it like the Honda commercial. They used his music in it. They didn't use him, but they used the music in it. So it's like John Cena's car. Yeah, that's what I think of every time I hear that. So.
He was also the elephant, right, in the little like cashew or whatever.
The pistachios.
The pistachio. Yeah. There we go.
And he was the bear in Doolittle.
There we go. See, like
so he's becoming more.
I think he has more range. Let's put it that way. Could he do drama? I think he could. Even there's moments here in this movie where it's like,
oh god,
he's pretty serious.
Yeah, I think he could do drama. He's got the face for it, man. Yeah. He's got the jawline for like a very dramatic role.
He did this wrestling movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called Legendary. It was part of the WWE studios. It's a little bit more of a dramatic role. But when he can go wacky and like just off the walls, like, you watch Blockers. And it's
well, one of my favorite things is when he plays the drug dealers in Baby Mama.
Yeah.
Or wait, I think it was Baby Mama, right?
No, it was Sisters.
Sisters, there you go. Yeah, Sisters. Yeah, when he plays the drug, I was great.
I never saw Bumblebee. I don't know how big of a role he played in that movie.
He was like, I think he was like the second in command of like the villains or something like that.
Was he like a Josh Duhamel type character in that movie?
Yeah, but the anti Josh Duhamel, where he was like on the.
Oh, so he was the villain in there?
Yeah, well, he was. Yeah, because he was part of the military. They were trying to. I don't know. I didn't see it, but that's from walking down in the theaters. That's what I saw. He was very much against the Haley Steinfeld and.
I want to go back and there's some stuff of his that I still haven't seen, but man, he's on the rise. But again, back to the price tags. I'm sure Margot costs the most probably in terms of like star power.
I feel like
it has to be her.
But I think she's got the contract already. I feel she's already contracted.
Think so?
Yeah, because I mean this is her third movie,
right?
So I feel like she's got a contract, and then I think Idris Elba is probably the biggest. Either Idris Elba or Peter Capaldi. Because I think he's got, and maybe because Taika was in a cameo. So you get like these old English actors kind of thing. That I feel like that they come with that. Hey, like I'm prestigious.
Or was it James Gunn? Like they paid him like however much money to come to this. How much of that do you think like negatively impacted the marketing? Because a lot of this was. Hey, from James Gunn, the guy that did Guardians.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Well, that's like, what is it? With the Predators, the last Predators movie, it was done by Shane Black.
Yeah.
And their marketing was the guy that did Iron Man 3. And you're like, ooh, that wasn't the good Iron Man.
How much how much of that do you like blame or like think that maybe it was overhyped a little too much?
Well, with that too is like you get families, right? It was definitely overhyped, I'll say that. But I feel like you get the families that watch Guardians, and they're like, oh, he did the Guardians movie, but oh, that's an R-rated movie with sharks eating people. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to take my kids to see that. So it's one of those things where you get like the laymen, the guys who are just right off the street kind of thing, that just see the name and see Guardians, and they start doing more research and they find out what the movie's about and what it's rated. So I think that turns off people.
Big turn off, yeah. So there is a ceiling for this stuff in terms of like, I mean, does this movie do a little better if you bring back Will Smith as Deadshot?
I think so. I think Deadshot's a great character. You can definitely explore it. I feel like he's a better. Of course, I've read the comics, but he's a better leader for it, the Suicide Squad, than Bloodsport is.
Or if you had a young Denzel, as a Bloodsport, would have been fun.
Oh, dude, his son would have been great.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
his son.
There, you could have brought in like a John David Washington. That would have been interesting. Although I do love Idris Elba, and he killed it in this role.
He did,
especially the comedic aspect.
Yeah, so he showed range.
Yeah, because I mean, in the trailers, he's kind of just like the guy, like this is, you're stupid or whatever. We're all gonna die. But in the movie, he really fleshes out that comedy, and it works.
And then you saw today, he posted today that he'd be down for a prequel where it shows him fighting Superman.
Oh yeah. See, that was another thing. Like, that was about as much as like there's this universe.
Yeah,
like, as I remember, was there anything else in that movie that I may have missed in terms of like connectivity to like the larger world?
I mean, just besides having the same characters playing roles. Other than that, not really.
Like, there's no mention of Batman at all or anything like that.
I mean, Harley kind of talks about her time with Joker and how she's a strong, independent woman now. So, I like too that they got rid of like the rotten tattoo on the side of her cheek because
she didn't like it.
Yeah, she didn't like it, and I was like, good, like that's awesome because I mean, I don't think anybody liked it. It was kind of weird having that there. The heart makes sense, the stuff on the arm, but that was kind of like it was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But no, and I also too think that James Gunn getting fired from Marvel and then picked up there was like, oh, cool, like it turned some heads. It was like, oh, this is not bad. But then he's going to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. You're like, oh, so he's going right back to Marvel. It kind of puts some people off of it, where it's just like, oh, well, like I don't know. I mean, again, conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat time, where it's like, well, how good of a DC movie is he going to do when
or how committed is he? Yeah, is he already thinking about?
Exactly. Well, because Kevin Feige was on the set of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
They said that he went and visited him and everything like that. So it's like, really, it's like if you're, I don't want to say that you need to only direct DC movies for it, but it's just like if you're obviously the one that's made you the money in the last decade has been Guardians. So here you're going to direct the third one. Yeah, how much of your mind is already there on that project while you're trying to finish this one?
Any ideas on who else could have directed this movie? Maybe could have brought like a different flavor, or I mean, where they could give all the reins to.
Oh man, like I said, James Gunn did a fantastic job doing it. I don't know if anybody could have.
I'm not saying he was a bad choice.
No, yeah, not at all.
Like,
who could have directed it? Shit, man.
Without having to like, it's weird that Warner Brothers would throw on the marketing from the guy that did Guardians. Like,
right.
That's weird to me. Like,
well, but Warner Brothers, I think, is more okay with it because they did that Sweet Tooth, which is that Netflix TV show, and it's a DC property, and Robert Downey Jr. produced it.
But Robert Downey Jr. is not, he's just an actor in those movies.
Well, yeah, but I think that throwing his name all over it, of course it's his name, so obviously they want to. But it's just when you associate Robert Downey Jr. and a DC property, it's one of those things where it kind of makes you think.
Or are we going to say the same thing next year when Christian Bale pops up in Thor, Love and Thunder?
I don't know, because, Christian, that's the thing, is that Christian Bale, he was Batman, but I see more people that recognize Christian Bale and talk about American Psycho than I do as him as Bruce Wayne.
That's true.
Like, I see more people as that, or, of course, in recent times than he was Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see more association with Christian Bale and the American Psycho character.
It's more like Nolan's associated with the Batman.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Nolan's Batman. It's not Christian Bale's Batman. It's Nolan's Batman is what it is.
Okay,
because that's what I see it as.
Yeah.
It's more of like the role that made him, I guess, or in everybody's light is Patrick Bateman. Yeah. But man, as far as directing it though, I don't know. That's the thing is, if it was the same crew as the first movie, if it was a sequel with that characters, I would say that I think any kind of gritty true crime director could have handled it.
Would you have been cool with, let's say it's a James Gunn story, you're going to get this wackiness.
Yeah.
Let's say you get Stallone to direct it.
That'd be interesting.
Because it was like an Expendables type.
Yeah, it's a wartime
It's a
thing.
war mission
I could
movie.
see that. Yeah, that'd be interesting as shit.
But I mean, yeah, don't get Stallone anywhere near the script.
Right,
Because I mean,
exactly.
his dialogue, I'll be honest, it's not the best. But yeah, you keep the James Gunn factor into it, the story,
right,
the brain work and all that stuff. But
okay, yeah, I'd see that. But no, I think with the characters, the characters of this movie definitely fit one type of person. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say Quentin Tarantino could have directed this, but it's definitely, you have those personalities of like a Tarantino kind of movie.
If Tarantino directs it, we get that Harley scene again.
Yeah.
Like the feet stuff, whatever.
The feet stuff.
But that scene with that guy turns into like this whole character. Like, all this dialogue, all this weird, witty dialogue.
Right.
Even I would be interested to see the Peacemaker and Bloodsport conversation, because it'd be like more like Sam Jackson, John Travolta, going back and forth.
That's true.
I would like to see that.
That's very
cool.
true.
But I don't know. I would love to see Tarantino tackle one of these properties.
It'd be interesting
just to see what he could do with it, like in terms of talking.
Right.
Like imagine him doing like a Batman movie just to have him talk, like him talking with the Joker about, I don't know, pop culture or something, you know?
Now, that'd be an interesting thing to see Tarantino do a superhero movie. Like, just one of these studios need to just, like, set aside, like, $200 million and say, hey, just Quentin to go for it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, if you look at the Suicide Squad, think of Inglourious Bastards, but just if it's all of Brad Pitt's crew and that's the whole movie. Like, that's basically what they are. They're just mercenaries and doing all this
for sure
shit. Like, so it's possible, but I don't know. That Stallone was the only name I threw out there just because he's in the movie, and but I don't know who else could have done something like this. In terms of like, if you want more big scale action, like, sorry folks, like Justin Lin has done incredible with this Fast series.
Oh man,
and you can tell like having him back. I'm sorry, we're going to talk about this a little bit.
That's fine. Because he wrote the last one too.
But like,
so he's good.
You can tell his footprints were like missing in the Fate of the Furious in terms of like action and whatnot. But if you watch F9, like, oh man, like that was solely like missing, and it was such a refresher to see like some great action sequences.
He did what, the fourth one?
He did 4, 5, and 6, which I thought were well. 5 and 6 to me are like the best ones.
Yeah.
In terms of like story, but also like the action was incredible. And then he did Star Trek Beyond, which I thought he did a really good job with.
Yes.
So I think he's a proven underrated action director. So if you wanted more action in this movie, like maybe bigger explosions or whatever, I probably would have brought him in for this, and you could have done some stuff. Because the third act of the Suicide Squad, it kind of falls into like this, you know, the giant monster that they have to overcome, or machine or whatever. That kind of felt like paint by numbers.
Yeah.
I was interested more in the cover up stuff, like the Peacemaker flag showdown. That was fucking gritty and hard and just different. But when it came to the starfish stuff, I was like, oh, okay, like I get it. You have to have them have their hero moment.
I saw this guy on Facebook was like bitching that they use Starro as like the villain. They're like, this was a stupid choice, and I can't believe they use like such a disgraceful character. And I was like, bro, that's like the first issue of Justice League is them fighting Starro, and I was like, that's a staple in DC Comics as that villain. So I was you need to like check yourself before. I mean, who did you want them to fight?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just in terms of how it was presented, I'm fine that they use the character, whatever, but. You know, where James Gunn was like, "Oh, these superhero movies are the same." Like, he kind of did the same third act.
You did
plowing
the
same thing. City and whatever,
and it's just ended by like one lucky shot.
Yeah. The one thing I trying to go back to like one of the things I didn't like. So in the first Suicide Squad movie, they have that whole thing with Will Smith and his daughter and that storyline. Did they have to do the same thing in this one?
Yeah, it was very
weird.
Yeah.
It felt very a copy and paste.
Yeah.
Let's try it again. We don't have Will Smith, but we got Idris Elba, and let's kind of do the same thing.
Well, that's why I feel that it was very much like when they had wrote it, they had Will Smith in mind, and then of course the scheduling conflicts happened, but they already had so much of that done that it would have taken so much more time to rewrite it.
Yeah.
So they kind of just copy and pasted with a different actor and different character. So that's what I think is it might have been like that's how he gets Deadshot to go on the mission is exploiting the daughter, and they just turned it into Bloodsport.
Well, they played that into it like, okay, this is how Bloodsport joins the team or whatever. But then there's not really a payoff to that. Like, yeah, the daughter sees him on the screen. Hey, it's my dad. But there's no, like, they don't unite at the end of the movie.
Right.
So it's kind of like, why did they do that? Like, I don't know. It felt like a rehash that didn't need to be done.
Exactly.
I mean, but again, the movie's at 3 stars for me. I'll watch it again. A lot of fun elements out of it. Any other things?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a great. It was a good world building movie to bring in these characters. I would love to see, and I know they were very specific on, hey, it's a standalone movie. Like we had mentioned that, it really wasn't a true sequel. So just because his character died didn't mean they can't show up in like another movie,
right?
Or, because an alternate storyline or whatever. So it's really nice to know that they're not just killing people to kill them and not ever bring them back. Because I would love to see some of these characters again, not necessarily fighting their superheroes. Like, I don't know if I'd like to see the Polka Dot Man fighting Batman, but I think that it'd be nice to see him again in like another type of Suicide Squad movie or something like that. So,
there was the swerve, so they quote unquote kill Cena in this movie until you watch.
They throat shoot him.
Yeah, but it made it look like he died. So I was like. So then in my head, I'm like, oh, the series is going to be a prequel. And I was like, I kind of want to see it going forward, not a backward story. Where I'm okay with a backward story on King Shark because you just want to see him in appearance. But I got in my head and I was like, oh, man. But then when they do that stinger at the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's going to be a story about going forward, which I'm okay with. So that was a nice little swerve that I appreciated. So...
Yeah, it kind of made you think one thing, and then at the end you're like, oh, never mind.
Never mind, it is a...
Yeah.
But are you, on your hype scale, how much more did this movie gain your interest for Peacemaker, the television show?
Oh, honestly, like, it definitely made me more interested to see it. Like, I'm kind of like you as far as, like, I'll watch John Cena in anything just because I think he's great and he's got the range, and I've always enjoyed everything he's been in. So I was really excited for Peacemaker, just seeing him have like a fleshed out TV show versus just like a movie where you see it for 2 hours and it's done until the next one kind of thing.
Right.
Like you actually get a show. So I was really happy about that, but actually seeing how he played the character, how outrageous it just made me more excited for it for sure.
Oh, for sure. So it jumped more for me because, I mean, he lived up to the hype in my head, but then like that can always like backfire on you, but it totally like he played it up as exactly how he should. That's the Suicide Squad. So those are our thoughts on it, but again, judge the movie for yourself.
Make your own opinions.
I mean, a lot of people haven't seen it just going off the box office. We're still waiting to see like the actual numbers. How many people saw it on HBO Max, but...
Yeah, that's what... If you have HBO Max, just watch it. I mean, it's something else to watch instead of watching what you're watching now. It's a movie.
It's entertaining. There's nitpicks on it, but what movie doesn't have nitpicks?
Exactly.
A lot of fun stuff coming up DC-wise that we need to get into. A lot of news, especially for stuff that, like, it's crazy, and I didn't even factor this in. We'll see what happens with Spider-Man later this year, but it's crazy how next year we're going to have 3 versions of Batman in, 1 year. So we got Robert Pattinson as the Batman coming next March, which I told you I finally got to see the trailer on the big screen. I thought it was a new trailer. When I was doing my trailer playlist at work, I saw the Batman attached, and I was like, is this going to be like a new trailer? Because it said 1B, so there's usually 1A and then 1B.
Right.
And there's stuff that's different, but so I was like, oh, crap. But then I didn't see any buzz online until you sent me a text, and I was like, oh, shit, maybe it is a new trailer. So I saw it Friday. It's the same trailer that's been out for like almost a year now,
right?
But it's still like finally got to see it on the big screen. It looks freaking fantastic. Have you heard any more buzz on it? Or anything going on? I've heard some stuff, but like I don't know if it's fake. And I'm taking everything with a grain of salt and not trying to be as like, I want to know every little thing. But
yeah,
I had heard some stuff that there was troubles on set, but I don't know if that's true. Or...
I don't know if I haven't really heard too much on the troubles. I know there was like rumors, but I think the rumors were ended up like being just dumb, false.
Mm.
But oh god, I just blanked on his name. The guy that plays Gordon.
Oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about. It's
crap. It's terrible.
That is terrible. So apologies to that actor.
Yeah, he was. I guess they were interviewing him recently for something. It was, I guess, something else that he's in, and he was just like had nothing but praise for Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's performances as Batman and Bruce Wayne, and the director Matt Reeves his way of directing and how the film. So he made me like I guess more reassured me that. That Matt Reeves was the right choice, and that Robert Pattinson, I mean, of course, non-Twilight Rob Pattinson can actually do a good job at this. Mm-hmm. And
Jeffrey Wright,
there you go.
I was looking that up.
Yeah, I was like James Gandolfini, but that is not his name. That is a soprano. But yeah, he was saying he was really praising the director and the performances. Even Colin Farrell was like, yeah, I'm not in the movie for much, but he's like, I enjoyed the shit out of the little bit that I was in, and acting against Robert Pattinson was awesome. So just just hearing like these actors that were in the movie that have had the chance to speak on it, without getting too in depth with it, have definitely reassured me that it's. I mean, I knew I'm gonna like it no matter what because I'm a Batman fan, but just that it's a good thing. Real quick though, I want to get your thought on the rumor that they're not going to show a Spider-Man trailer. They're just going to bring it out.
Interesting.
I don't know if it was just supposedly Kevin Feige was quoted saying that they're not going to release a trailer.
Well, this is the thing about Marvel that's going to start to really... It's going to annoy fans, but I'm going to be like, this is what y'all wanted, like with all this stuff getting saturated like all over the place. Y'all want 4 movies a year? So I do the playlist at work for trailers and whatnot. And when Black Widow was coming out, only the Shang-Chi trailer was attached. Yeah. And I was like, oh, dude, we have Eternals also. But like, they got to put all their marketing and focus into a movie at a time. So that's why you haven't seen much on Eternals. And like, Eternals comes out in November, and Spider-Man's right after in December. Yeah. So it's like, once Shang-Chi's over, they have to put all the focus on Eternals. And
it was wild that we got an Eternals trailer before we got Shang-Chi.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it's like, hey folks, you want all this Marvel stuff, cool, but then like, the spacing and gapping for hyping up stuff.
And then you got the TV shows.
Yeah.
Because Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye are supposed to premiere this year as well.
I mean, you've had the other shows debut this whole year. Yeah. Your WandaVisions, your...
Falcon Winter Soldier,
Loki. What if starts
this week? Yeah.
So it's like where do you want the attention to go to?
Yeah.
If I'm Sony, I'm pissed. Like, dude, I want to start promoting the shit out of this, and I'm sure like Kevin Feige's got like a tight lid on everything. Like, we just wait. Like, people are gonna come out to see it, but
is Tobey Maguire gonna be in this movie? I want to know.
Yeah.
And if he is, he better come out to Chad Kroger singing.
Give me Tobey Spider-Man all day. Give me that. I owned the 4K trilogy set.
I'd cry. I'd legit cry if he like opened a portal and he swung out to that song. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but goddamn.
I mean, they want to be meta and all this stuff. Like, why not? Why not do that? But if there's no trailer, I mean, I'm all into like, I'm going to see the movie anyway.
Sure.
But man, like, if you're not going to put out anything, like that, just I mean, I know it's money that they save because they don't have to market. But come on, that'd be like saying like, nah, we're not going to put out a Batman trailer because we know you're going to come out and see it. It's Batman, but you still want to give us that tease.
It's very like pretentious.
Yeah,
where it's like
it's very arrogant.
Yeah, there you go, arrogant. Sorry, that's the word. And you're like, we know you're going to come watch Spider-Man. You're going to come out anyway.
But there's not even a poster. Nothing. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's very odd. If there's nothing out by the time Shang-Chi rolls around, I don't know. You might be right. They might not. They might not release anything.
But back to the DC. Yeah, dude, Batman is going to be great. We're getting 3 different Batman. The rumor, I know we talked about it. I don't know if anybody that listens to the podcast has also been on the rumor, but apparently Superman is also showing up in the Flashpoint movie. Or the Flash movie, I should say. It's loosely based on Flashpoint, I'm assuming, but...
I got into it with someone online where it's like, it's funny how all the Flash news movie, it's all stuff on Batman.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff people care about. Like,
it is.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Ezra Miller really won me over in the Snyder Cut with the version of the Flash that he showed. And he'll be great, but like all the news has been, you know.
Well, it's. I mean, you got the mixed crew between the Batflex and the old folks that like Michael Keaton. So I mean, yeah, you're going to get overshadowed by that, which it's a shame because Ezra Miller did great as it, but yeah, I completely understand why the hype is all for the Batman.
Yeah. But the person came at me on like, well, they're doing the Flashpoint story. It's like, yeah, but you're trying to sell to the audience like that this is the Flash. It's not a Batman movie,
right?
Cool, Batman's going to be in it, whatever, because that's just the world we live in. Everybody's got to pop up in everybody's movies. But I don't know if it was me like doing I love Batman to death. Give me Batman all day, every day. But if I'm trying to establish a new character into the audience, like the movie's not called Flashpoint; it's just called The Flash.
It's called The Flash, yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's just don't use the crutch of Batman to get your people in to see the movie, and then leave. They're going, "Oh yeah, I really like the Flash," and the next Flash movie, you're going to end up having another Suicide Squad, where the next Flash movie comes out, Batman's not in it, so you're not. Look, why is it failing?
Right.
I wonder why.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts? Have you seen any of the behind the scenes like photos? I think there's one on Batman on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
I think it's Batfleck, right?
Yeah, it's the Batfleck one. I've seen all the behind the scenes. I got a buddy who like I see him, and then my friend sends him to me like 10 minutes later, and I don't have the heart to say, bro, I got this. Come on, I see this. But no, I've seen it all. I'm pleased with everything. People bitched about the suits, and you're like, dude, it's a stunt suit. Like, come on, like you gotta wait for post production, man. Don't assume.
The same thing with Pattinson, right? Like when people saw him on the what is it? It was like filmed in the daylight.
Yeah,
and
it was like,
on a motorcycle. Like, dude, like that's not the final thing.
That's not it. Yeah, that's the stunt performer, dude. Like CG.
The reshooting, like that happens all the time.
Yeah, they imagine like they think that like this stuff is brand new. Like that, Chris Hemsworth walked out in that costume. Like Robert Downey Jr. don't even wear an Iron Man suit in any of the movies, man.
Right.
Like, come on, it's all CGI.
It's all stupid.
But I'm so happy. Like, I like the Supergirl. I like the actress that they picked for her. So I'm really excited. I don't think they've had a bad casting for that movie yet. I was actually talking to a buddy about this, though, is because we were like trying to figure out who the villain is going to be this movie. I've heard rumors that it's like a bad Barry Allen, but I would like it if they just kind of like threw it, because Reverse Flash is a part of the Flashpoint storyline as well. So we were kind of talking like, are they going to throw him in as the villain and just not say anything about who it is, or he just shows up? And like, who would we want it to be if it was like that? And I was like, I'd love Matthew McConaughey. Just for some reason, I don't know why, but I would love Matthew McConaughey as like the villain.
Why haven't they snatched him up?
I don't know.
Nobody snatched him up.
But I would love to see Matthew McConaughey as like that, because like the Reverse Flash thinks he's like better. He wants to be better than the Flash, so he wants to be better on every account. And the Flash is a smart guy. He's a forensics, for police department.
Well, I've seen it played out on the television show, and like I can totally see McConaughey in that role,
in that very like thinking kind of way, like that smart way. McConaughey's that already like that kind of guy that gives you these long drawn out explanations, and you're like, damn, dude, I'm re-questioning life right now.
If he plays it like the True Detective character, that's freaking scary as shit. I would so be down for that. Warner Brothers, what are you waiting for? Get this guy.
And I also think it would be absolutely hilarious to have him like, all right, Flash, and this is what we're gonna do. That accent, you're like, ah.
I could see it already. The monologue,
yeah,
that's all it is. And just Flash crying, like
And then you get all the marks that are like, "Oh my God, the Flash and Batman or the Reverse Flash and Batman were in Dazed and Confused together." You're like, yeah.
This, I think Ben Affleck starts filming in September.
Yeah,
I read something like that.
He's enjoying J-Lo right now.
I mean, God bless him, dude. Like, I love Film Twitter. Film Twitter loves Ben Affleck, so. It's a bad time to be Matt Damon right now. He's singing.
Oh, I know.
But but God forbid, let's make fun of Ben Affleck because he eats Dunkin' Donuts. Or
he gets Dunkin' Donuts like Postmates of him Dunkin' Donuts.
Like, geez, like Ben Affleck, man. Like, and we haven't even talked about The Last Duel. Well, I'll ask you about that movie at the end. I know you're pumped for that. But man, Ben Affleck, like, good for him, man. He's had this what seems like 2 comebacks already.
Yeah,
on film. Getting his life back together, and gets to be Batman again.
Yeah.
I know that's something like that was a huge part of him wanting to do that for his kids and whatnot.
Right,
so.
and it's something he enjoyed too. Like it's never been negative about it. I mean, he wants the role.
It was just he was dealing with demons. Like,
exactly.
So that's going to bring up interesting. Should we bring him back if he's going to be filming again? I think there's more hype of that more than. I mean, the Keaton stuff's there, but I feel like there's more buzz. Like, oh shit, Ben Affleck's going to film again as Batman.
I mean, that's what I like. Oh man, I don't want to name him just because I guess he's mad at me. But a friend of ours that we have a mutual friend is just like he's such a huge Keaton mark, and it's like, dude, Keaton had his time. I mean, it's cool they're bringing him back, but the guy can't play Batman anymore. Like, he's not gonna carry that torch and do the next 5 years of Batman sequels and show up in every other, like, against Gal Gadot as like a Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, let's say there's another crossover movie. You don't want Keaton in there. Like, no, like, he doesn't fit in that world anymore. Like, I mean, of course, they'll do movie magic to make it up, but can you imagine, like, 5'10" Keaton going up against 6'4" Henry Cavill?
Yeah, it's so out of place.
Yeah. So it's nice to have him back. It fits the story, but I don't see any reason to keep him around.
Yeah.
So hype for the story and for the movie, but beyond that, cool.
Yeah. Well, that's coming next November. There's been more.
Yeah.
I know we're getting closer to October in Fandom again that they're going to do. Hopefully by then they'll have like another trailer for the Batman, which they should because it's a March opening.
Yeah, I'd assume they would have something there. That's what they're waiting for.
I don't think they're going to be stupid. Like, nah, we're not gonna release a trailer.
Right? Yeah,
you'll come see.
You're gonna come see Robert Pattinson. You twihards!
I can't believe that, dude. If they don't at least put a minute teaser or something of that Spider-Man movie.
So I know we're trying to talk DC here, but like this, this is the first time I've really seen you since March. And how do you think Eternals is gonna do?
I don't know. I don't even know how Shang-Chi's going to do. And
right.
I don't mean this in a racist way. I'm looking at this in terms of like a movie guy, in terms of like color palettes or whatever. Shang-Chi doesn't look any different than Snake Eyes.
No.
In terms of like the colors that they use, the fighting and all that stuff.
The main characters have color. Like Shang-Chi's got like the red union. Of course, that's comic accurate, but like that's what sets it apart. Is like the color palette's very like muted colors, and then you have the main characters have the brighter color kind of thing.
Or is that the MCU thing?
Yeah, well, for the most part. But I'm hyped for Eternals because I we talked about this in the beginning where I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. Not James Gunn related, but just the fact that it's like something obscure. It's something that nobody really knows about, and they're making a movie of it. And
but this is why I feel like they shouldn't have so many projects in one year, because you could already be spending all of this time building up to the Eternals, whatever, putting characters' faces on bags of chips or whatever.
But this has to do with COVID too, because Eternals was supposed to come out last year.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true. That was supposed
Eternals
to be.
Was supposed to come out last November.
It would have been right after Black Widow, right?
Eternals was the next one after Black Widow last year.
That's true.
So this is kind of, they were finding dates to, without shuffling their calendar too much.
I didn't even think of that.
But because again, back on the DC side, Wonder Woman already had all of its marketing before the movie came out.
Yeah.
She was on chips, she was on everything like that, and the movie didn't come out for like almost another year. So they already, I don't know if they have Doritos bags planned with Angelina Jolie's face on them, but I don't know if
you know what I mean. Like they could already get that going.
Exactly. But I don't know if I feel like it might end up being another Suicide Squad because the Suicide Squad because of there's nobody there to put asses in seats besides Angelina Jolie.
Right. And even then, like they're not really in the trailer that they have. She's not really.
Well, yeah, she's not the main character.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if the guy's.
Is it the Game of Thrones guy?
The Game of Thrones dude. It's Robb Stark and then Gemma. No, that's not her name either. Gemma Chan, right? She was in for Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh gosh,
She was also in
I know who you're
Captain
talking
Marvel.
About. See, this is the thing with like not that they're nobodies, but they're not names. They're not names anymore. Like I was talking to a buddy at work, and I was like, dude, imagine Shang-Chi with like a young Jackie Chan in the role. Like that would have been incredible.
Gemma Chan.
But imagine Jackie Chan in a young role for that.
Bro, you got Awkwafina.
I mean, I guess that's the bar for big star now.
I do like Awkwafina though.
I like her, but
I do like her.
She's not like. I mean, you poll mostly everyone in America. Do they know who she is? Like,
no.
I mean,
not unless they've watched Nora.
That's why I think Marvel's really going to struggle in this next phase if they don't, get big names like DC again. And we've talked about this at length before. Like their casting is incredible.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I really don't. I know it's still early, but I can't gauge how that movie's going to do. Even Shang-Chi, like I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Right? Is it Shang-Chi?
It's Shang-Chi. I think we can. I don't want to say that it's like that. Nothing racial or anything like that. But I feel like the Western way of saying it is Shang-Chi.
Okay.
But I know that I've said someone that said it, and I think it was on like one of the Asian marketing or Asian trailers I saw, and they said it differently. But I think it's like the Western way of saying it is Shang-Chi. So
I wonder if Marvel is going to get real arrogant, where it's like if they think it's just because it's their brand, people are just going to go automatically. Right. And I mean, you will have people, but
I mean, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it.
I still don't know how these movies are going to do going forward. I mean, your Guardians 3 will kill it.
Yeah.
Thor.
Yeah. But I do think that Marvel, they're getting to that point where if the rumors are true with we're not going to show trailers. It's just you're banking too much on the success of your first 10 years to carry you the next 10.
That sounds like WWE.
Yeah.
Where you're banking on your past.
Yeah.
That's all they do now is like the whole sell of their network to Peacock.
Yeah.
And all in the commercials you would see Stone Cold and The Rock. But that's not who's there anymore.
Right.
And where are you positioning your new stars to?
And it's
to
wild
too
to see these actors. Sorry, not actors, because WWE's not. These wrestlers, they're just so like they're speaking out about WWE now. They're like these guys, like not necessarily your Stone Colds and everything like that, but like these big name dudes that were like house names 10 years ago. That they're just like talking that it ain't all glitz and glamour.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad shit going on with the company, with that company right now. But yeah, like Marvel, like where's your next like big star that you got attached to this? Like, I mean, to me, the end game. I mean, no pun intended, but like, if Marvel got like DiCaprio attached for like the next 10 years to play something,
sure,
at least you got something, right? Who's the next Downey Jr. that's going to anchor this thing? Or are they going to be so arrogant to think, and this is the way WWE is, where they think the brand is bigger than
I think
the
they
actor?
Do. I really think they do. I mean, they've got some great like young folks like that Haley Steinfeld, who is playing Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. She's great. She's got that show on Apple, the Dickinson, and she's done good in everything she is. She's good. I know that. I mean. Anthony Mackie's awesome. So, I mean, if they continue with him as Captain America for the next 10 years, I'm cool with that. I hope they do.
Because think about this, and this plays into the Scarlett Johansson thing.
Oh,
if they get a bunch
of is
but if they get a bunch of no names, they don't have to pay him really anything,
right?
And you really don't get that ego factor. Like, imagine Robert Downey Jr. was still around, and they're releasing whatever Iron Man 4 theaters and Disney Plus. Oh, you don't think Robert Downey Jr. is saying, like, give me my money?
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
So this is kind of a way for the Marvel brand and Disney to escape, like, well, maybe we don't need to get the big actors.
And they've even said that they're not doing multi-film contracts anymore. So,
but that's where I can see them being like, the brand's big enough. Like, we don't need a name actor for this. But you kind of do.
You do. I mean, you need the caliber of actor to carry the mantle or whatever character you're trying to portray.
You can almost put anyone in Batman, but Ben Affleck as Batman is the sell. Ben Affleck.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you put anybody in Batman because that's showing. I mean, look how many people have played Batman.
Right.
But you
always get somebody.
But you got to have a guy that plays Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like, you look at like your Clooney's and your Kilmers, that they played one better than the other. Clooney was a great Bruce Wayne, shitty Batman.
Right.
Kilmer was great as Batman, too much of a Bruce Wayne. So, I mean, you get those people like Christian Bale was great as both. Cigarette smoking, cancer voice aside, he was a great Bruce Wayne. He was a great, human Batman. Ben Affleck is awesome as both.
He's the whole package.
He's the whole package, and he's also, that's what, people always came, and I feel like I've touched on this before, but they're like, oh, Christian Bale's better than Ben Affleck. It's like Christian Bale couldn't have gone up against a Doomsday or Superman. Well, yeah, he could have. I was like, what in those 3 films was supernatural? Or Bane was just a dude inhaling
he was a mercenary.
Yeah, he was a mercenary inhaling painkillers. He wasn't jacked up on venom like he is in the comics and all that stuff. So I mean, Ben Affleck fits that world of superhero versus just a dude not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah. No, but I really think we're at a point where they think the brand's bigger.
I think they do, and that's not a dig at Marvel. It's really not.
But that's the machine that it is now. Yeah. It's a machine now. It's a dynasty.
Yeah, it's become a brand and a dynasty. Yeah, definitely. And they've had no competition for the last 10 years, and I think they're starting to get competition because DC, they've had their stumbles, but you look at the box office of Batman v Superman, of Suicide Squad, of the first Wonder Woman, all of these movies. I mean,
Aquaman was bang.
Yeah, all of them have made way more money than any of the first Marvel movies, the first outings as Captain America out of Thor have ever. They never had. They never touched. Never come close to the money that DC's made in less time than Marvel did. It took them 10 years to build this world. Well, DC's stacking themselves with the actors to carry these things for the next 10 years. Once Warner Brothers gets their heads out of their ass.
Yeah. Gosh. We'll see what happens. So we got, so next year we got the Batman, the Flash. Those are the updates we have on that.
Black Adam,
The Rock. Finally, right? Yeah. Finally, Dwayne.
We haven't seen a trailer yet, but we've seen him in the boots of the costume, so it's somewhat there.
It's always everything's always so over dramatic in any post with him.
And then Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Yeah,
we got. No, there's a lot of DC movies next year.
Well, next year or just coming in general?
Well, coming in general for sure. But
Aquaman, I think that's going to start filming soon, right?
Aquaman, it's already started.
Wasn't there rumors also that Gal Gadot's going to be in Flash also?
Well, if they do the whole Flashpoint storyline, then they need everybody.
Okay.
Because Wonder Woman's in it, Aquaman's in it, Mara's in it, everybody's in the Flashpoint. But Cyborg's in it too. But I don't know just about where they're drawing the line as far as the difference between the movie and the comic. But we'll see. I know that they're already starting to, work on the script for Wonder Woman 3, so that's coming.
We'll see. Any other stuff that you're looking forward to later this year? The Last Duel?
The Last Duel. Ben Affleck looks great in the costume. It's ridiculous with that beard and the hair. But
have you seen? There's a buddy sent me this tweet where it's Ben Affleck should not be in medieval movies because he has the face of somebody who knows what phones are.
That's true. That's so very specific, but it's so true.
Oh shit, that made me laugh so much. But
there are. It's funny that he brings that up because there are those actors that they just look like they have no business being in period pieces.
But even though he's great in Shakespeare in Love,
yeah.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon back together. That's been one of my things that I've been waiting to see.
Yeah.
Adam Driver, up and comer.
Well, yeah, but they wrote it too, right?
Right.
So, yeah,
they wrote some of it. I think
some of it. So it's that the duo. It's exactly. It's them together, not just acting against each other, but it's them actually working together on it. So Adam Driver.
Yes. Adam Driver. Marvel or DC need to pick that guy up for something. I remember back a while, before BVS came out. Mm-hmm. I think there was rumors of him playing Nightwing, and I was like, "Oh, that would have been fucking awesome."
Interesting.
Or be something. Yeah. At least an actor of that caliber.
Yeah, he's great.
Ridley Scott directed so many great movies like Gladiator and so many other movies.
Robin Hood. I loved his Robin Hood.
Yeah, and I was just watching before that trailer came out. I was watching Braveheart. I had bought it on 4K, and I was like, "Man, I want another movie like this. Why don't they make them like that anymore?" And then this trailer dropped for The Last Duel. I know it's not going to be the same type of action type movie, but I was like this medieval, Shakespearean story. Give me that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I don't know, man. There's so many great TV shows that have come out now that are getting ready to make new seasons. So I've kind of, of course, during quarantine, you definitely start focusing on those because there was more shows than that. So I'm really excited for The Witcher season 2.
Yeah, I know. You always post about that. It's not my thing, but it's
super
cool that you're getting.
I am super excited for The Saints of New Jersey. Right? The Many Saints in New Jersey.
The Many Saints in Newark?
Many Saints in Newark. There you go. Yeah, Many Saints in Newark.
I'm gonna watch The Sopranos.
Watch The Sopranos, but God, I'm so excited for that movie.
Yeah, that trailer popped up, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
That's his son.
Yeah,
it's Gandalf's exactly son that's playing him. So it just talk about legacies right there. Carrying the torch, and it's got a great cast in that. John Stamos, John Berthenel, all that. Yeah, it's great. So I'm
Ray Liotta.
Really excited for that one.
If it's a mob movie, give it to me. But yeah, I'm gonna watch The Sopranos.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting to time it perfectly where I can end it right as the movie's about to come out.
You got like eight seasons of The Sopranos, I think. Yeah, I think it's that, and they're all like 10, 13 episodes, hour long each.
Yeah, that comes out right at the beginning of October, I think, or right at the end of September. So it's like we're not that far off from.
No, it's not. Like you realize that we're not far off from everything. Like Shang-Chi is like what, in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
So. And then there's that. Venom's not that far off.
Venom. I'm excited for Venom, man, because I just like Venom and Carnage. They were my favorite parts of the Spider-Man series. I just have a love-hate feeling towards Woody Harrelson as Carnage, just because like he can go wild, so he can do it. But God, it's Woody Harrelson.
Andy Serkis is directing this, right?
Yeah.
So that's. I don't know if he's directed anything. Oh, he directed.
He did Planet of the Apes, didn't he? The last one.
No, that was all Matt Reeves.
It was all Matt Reeves. Okay.
Yeah. I think he directed a version of a Jungle Book that ended up coming out on Netflix, or they moved it to Netflix.
Okay.
I think it was Mowgli. I think that's what it's called, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna. While we're talking, I'm gonna kind of look up, see what he's directed.
I'm curious to see how this is gonna play out. I mean, the first Venom movie, like, the movie's whatever, but Tom Hardy was a joy as Eddie Brock. Like, sometimes the performance overpowers what the movie is.
Yeah, or you carry it.
Yeah, there we go. And there's some actors that can do that, and Tom Hardy's one of those guys. So if it's more of the same like that, cool, give it to me. Like, the first trailer was like kind of like, whatever. But this last one, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm down with them. Like, if it's him and Woody Harrelson just playing wild off each other, like, I'm gonna be all for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see. He did Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. He did Breathe.
I've never.
He was the second unit director of Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies.
Okay, so he's got some action. In him.
Yeah, but Tom Hardy carried it, man. Tom Hardy carried Venom. He definitely made the role his own. And I mean, I've seen so many people that talk so like the movie came out 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And people are still like praising his role, like praising it, like, hey man, you see like all these superheroes and they're like all jacked up and all that stuff. Like, no, like Tom Hardy was going through some shit. Like you see that like he was actually in pain. Yeah. So it was really, like he was trying to reject the symbiote. So I really enjoyed Tom Hardy's portrayal in that movie. It's PG-13, right, or is it R?
I think you got me stumped there. I want to say it's going to be PG-13 because that movie overperformed at the box office like you wouldn't believe. But I mean, with the way things are going now, I don't know. Like, we don't know what's going to happen a month from now.
That's true, but I feel that it. I mean, that's the thing is like it's such a wild line to toe with superhero movies because you can make so many of them R-rated and they still be successful, still be great movies like Logan or Deadpool. You could make a Venom versus Carnage movie R-rated, but then you alienate so much of your audience by doing that. So it's definitely a bold choice to go. I'm excited for it. Again, I'm probably laughing my ass off in the theater every time Woody Harrelson's on screen.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just he's one of those things that's like I still can't believe that he's in that role.
Yeah. When he popped up at the end of the first movie, you were like, and it's the reaction that you're supposed to have. It's like, what?
I'm just glad they decided to change his hair because the little orphan Annie wig was just too much.
I'm sure they knew that right away. They were like, God damn it! Like, why did we introduce him like that?
Eddie.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Anything else? Let's see. Jackass Forever.
Oh gosh, Jackass, man. That's so much of like my youth, my middle school and high school that it's going to be really interesting to see how much they can take
right?
Because I watched the Shark Week special with them, and they're not, they move slow. They're moving a little bit slower than they used to.
Like, I think, what is it? Johnny Knoxville does that stunt again with the bulls.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, man! Aren't you? He's past 50 already for sure, right?
And I think I messaged you about it, or it was one of my friends, but I was like, man, it's gonna be really interesting to see because like half of them got clean.
Yeah.
So like Steve-O, he's a vegan and he's clean, so it's like I don't know if he's gonna be doing all the stunts that he used to when he was tweaked out of his mind on whippets and everything. So,
but I'm still. I mean, when is shit like that never not gonna be funny? And
right.
Like now will that be with a full audience? Who knows? That was one of the joys of watching those movies in the theaters.
Yeah, was laughing with everybody.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Of course, we still got Top Gun's still going to come out. I mean, are you hyped for that?
I'm excited for it.
Oh, okay.
I like Tom Cruise.
Okay,
like I think he's ridiculous, but I like Tom Cruise movies. I'm always interested to see how he one-ups himself in these movies.
Yeah,
because how every Mission Impossible does something bigger and better or wild. So I'm just like, what is Tom Cruise going to do to out Tom Cruise this time?
It's like you think he's like, that's the wackiest thing he could do, and then he comes out, and it's like Tom Brady, like you think he's done, like oh shit, he wins another one.
Exactly. So Tom Cruise, it's always one of those like, what is he gonna do next?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. I'm trying to think what else there is.
I mean, we talked at length already about Spider-Man that's coming. If it's trailer or not, we're gonna watch it, but what a weird, bold move if you don't release nothing for it.
And I think the only ones you could do that for, like if they would have done it in game, I think it would have been okay. I think Spider-Man is probably the safe property to do that to. If you did it with Shang-Chi or like the Eternals and like nobody showed up, well you didn't put out any marketing for it, but it's Spider-Man, so that's why I feel like
but it's Marvel, why didn't people come out? Because you still gotta I mean don't get too arrogant with your audience, because I mean again if these two movies underperform, like Robert Downey Jr., do you want to come back? Chris Evans, like, any chance you might want to return?
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like these two are gonna. Yeah, that might be there might. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to make a guess and be held to it, but I just feel that they're not gonna do as good as Guardians and Thor are. Whatever next year, whenever they do it, just because I feel like you're gonna have these. I mean, look, Black Widow couldn't even hold the candle, man. Yeah. So, and she's been around since the second Iron Man movie. So, I don't think Shang-Chi or Eternals is going to do much.
I still think they've peaked, but that's my opinion. Because the multiverse stuff, I mean, whatever. But
I mean, the multiverse is cool.
Yeah,
but I mean, gotta have the actors to play the characters,
right? But then it also I was talking with another buddy of mine, and it's like, he's like, I don't care about stakes in movies. And it's like, dude, I love my stuff to have stakes.
Yeah.
Like, if Robert Downey Jr. were to somehow return at some point, it's going to be like, well, the hell did I spend all that time building up to,
And that's one of the biggest issues I have with Civil War, actually, is that there's no stakes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get, like, War Machine, he fell, like, broke his back, and he's, like, paralyzed. And yet you just show him walking at the very end of the movie. And that's nice. Okay, cool, he's good, but just leave it at a cliffhanger, man. Is he going to be able to walk again? Who knows? Find out next time when, find out in the next movie. And even at that, like, make it a dynamic to where he doesn't have that little robo legs, but he's got to wear the armor to walk.
Yeah.
Like, he can't just have little, like, things on the side of his pants, but no, he's got to wear the full armor. So it's one of those things where he starts to get dependent on the armor because it's a move.
Yeah.
Create some inner conflict for these characters, man.
Yeah. So this whole thing with the multiverse or whatever, so I think because James Gunn's going to start to film Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And I think I read, it was just a headline, I didn't read the article, it was like, talking about possible characters he could kill off. And I was like, bullshit. Marvel, you can't kill anybody now if they're going to open this wormhole of
the only people Marvel kills are the villains.
Yeah.
None of their heroes die.
But I may be one of the few people on this. If you're going to open this door to the multiverse, I want Ben Affleck back as Daredevil.
Yes.
I want Edward Norton back as the Hulk. I stand Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Yes.
I bought the director's cut not too long ago on Blu-ray, and I was like, man, They didn't give it a shot.
If he shows up, Evanescence, wake me up.
Give me that.
Dude, give it, man.
You, Marvel, you want multiverse, you fans, you all want this, and I get to ask for some stuff. Give me Ben Affleck as Daredevil.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do shit like that. That's amazing. It would be so cool. And so, like, trivially cheesy, but you'd love it, man. If, like, a portal opened up and, like, there's your Charlie Cox Daredevil and you got Ben Affleck rolling out in the leather suit and you're like, what's going on? Yes.
If you're doing that, I can ask for that. You don't get to say, no, that wouldn't be believable. Oh, yes, it is.
Or no, that's dumb.
Or that's dumb. Yeah, there we go.
Why? Why is it dumb, but yet 2 other Spider-Man are cool?
Right.
Like, no.
So that's all I'm asking for. If you're going to give me the multiverse, that's all I want.
That'd be... Oh, man. I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking about that the other day. Bringing Ben Affleck's Daredevil back. As funny as it would be.
Why not? I think we covered a lot. We covered a lot of ground here. Won't be too long before your next appearance. If you're down, Fandoms, the sequel will be coming.
Yeah,
and they did a great job with that last year. And I don't know, with the way things are going, like another virtual event is probably
like I said,
the way to go.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, okay, look at the fandom real quick. We'll talk about it. So they did it last year. I mean, everybody tuned in all over the world. It was a huge success. They did it, August last year, I think it was? August 22nd?
Something like that.
Was when they did it, and they had the San Diego Comic-Con at home was in July. They did San Diego Comic-Con at home this year. Did you know that they did that?
Does anybody show up there anymore?
No, it was at home. It was another virtual one.
Oh, but there was like no
panels.
hype.
They had panels and stuff. But did you know that it happened?
Mm-mm.
No. Like I was like the week of it happened, I just happened to see a post on Facebook and they're like SDC at home like panel, and I was like, oh shit, like they did Comic-Con. But fandom's coming, because there's already hype about it. So that's what I mean is they did something and it was great and a success, and they're gonna do it again. And it's taken so much wind out of the sails of these Comic-Cons, like these big ones. Everybody had to wait around for SDCC to see what's new for the next year.
Right.
Now they don't have to do that anymore.
But that'll be coming soon, and I'll have you back on for that. And
yeah.
I remember when they were premiering the Batman stuff, like everybody was trying to log on to see it, and I remember like, oh shit, like I was having like issues like with my feed, and I think I have great internet here, and I was like, oh shit, everyone's trying to see the Batman stuff.
They successfully saved that for last, and it broke the internet.
Yeah. I'm sure they will again, because they'll have either a scene or for sure another trailer.
Well, they might have Robert Pattinson talking about it. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, again, back in your multiverse thing, if they do that, Willem Dafoe with Green Goblin, bring him back.
Bring him back.
Bring him back.
You all wanted this, folks. Like the wormhole or the can of worms is open.
I just want
Pandora's box.
I just want Willem Dafoe and everything. I love him.
Great. All right, buddy. Well,
hey, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you so much for coming on. I love having these conversations with you because we can actually converse about it and not just be like, no, Tyler, you're wrong.
You're wrong, and
You're wrong for not liking the Suicide Squad, or you're wrong because he did this.
Yeah, or you get the guys like, oh, yes, I agree with you. It was great. It was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Oh, that movie was sick, man.
You're right.
It was fire.
I concur.
No, man, have opinions. Like, it's okay to nitpick stuff. It's okay to mark out for stuff, too. Yeah. But I like a healthy balance.
Absolutely.
I think our friendship is good on that. Like, there's stuff that you like or you tell me that you don't like, and I may not agree with it, but I respect the opinion. Like, that's great.
That's what it's all about. It's respecting someone else's opinion, even if you don't agree with it. So,
but no, I really do appreciate it. It's been a fun conversation, and again, folks, like, we nitpicked a lot of stuff of the Suicide Squad, but it's still an enjoyable movie.
Yeah,
go check it out
again. Yeah.
Check it out. Find out for yourself. Whether you're invested in this or not, and if not, there's more stuff coming on the way. And
there's more stuff coming. There's already stuff that you can continue to rewatch. So,
and this got me more invested. I'm gonna watch the Harley Quinn. There's a cartoon series, right?
Yeah, the cartoon series.
I'm gonna watch that. Too. So, just this got me more interested in a lot of stuff. I want to check out some more King Shark stuff.
King Shark's on there.
He's on that too, right?
On the show.
So there you go. Good job, Stallone.
I think he's played by Ron Fuchs on that show. It's amazing. He's so good.
I'm for it. And out there, I'm still looking for my Funko Pop of King Shark, which I will get my hands on at some point. But thanks again to Tyler. And he'll be back on soon because I love talking all this stuff with him. Not just comic book stuff, but anything pop culture. Me and this guy keep up with each other. So thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, man.
Once again, thanks to Tyler Bishop for coming on the show. Always enjoy chatting with him. And he'll be on real soon for that Fandom sequel, which I think that event's happening in October. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to do it for this episode. You can find this podcast on Spotify. Search Palace Off the Top Rope. Hit that follow button. I do share this podcast link through my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram through podbean.com. You can download the Podbean app. You can listen there. Or if you're an Apple person, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave me that 5-star review. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll check you guys out in the next episode. And God bless you.